Hello and welcome. You are listening to the Happier Life podcast. I'm your host, Claire Deacon. After deciding survival wasn't enough, I set out on a path to live my best life. I wanted to thrive. Now I'm on a mission to support others. Think you're not good enough, confident enough, brave enough? I'm here to tell you you are, and you can achieve anything. This is your time, so let's do this. So welcome and thank you to everyone for joining us and listening in. I'm Claire Deacon, the founder of Happya and author of Blooming Happya, and this is Odette Mould from Harry's Rainbow. So thank you, Odette, for joining me today. Just to give a bit of an introduction, really, we wanted to come on and have this interview because we've both had people reach out to us and ask us about the Blooming Happya launch party that I've been putting together. We've been working on to raise some very important money for Harry's Rainbow. And people have been asking a bit about our story and how it's all come together. So this is our opportunity to do that and to share that with everyone. So I will give a warning before we get started to make you aware that our discussion will cover the topic of grief and bereavement. So please make sure you only continue to listen if you feel able to do so. So thank you. So Odette, welcome. And hi. So if you want to get started and introduce yourself and tell us a bit about Harry's Rainbow and how it all got started.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Odette, as Claire said. I'm the founder and CEO of Harry's Rainbow. We're a child bereavement support charity based in Milton Keynes. I've been running the charity now for just over 12 years. And the charity I started in memory of my son, Harry. Harry was 5 years old when he came down with a sudden illness and subsequently died. That was in 2009, so we're almost at his 15-year anniversary now. At the time, I'd never suffered a bereavement at all. There was no one close to me that had ever died, but I also had with me Jessica, who was Harry's twin sister. And so I immediately went into mum mode. My instinct was telling me I needed to reach out and find what appropriate support there was for a 5-year-old child. And my search led me to actually realise that there was a severe lack of bereavement support, particularly for children, in Milton Keynes, as well as a lack of resources at the time. So really, those sort of my experiences over about a year led me to decide that it wasn't good enough that there wasn't something in Milton Keynes, and that I should set something up so that we can work towards a society and a community that understands bereavement and grief more for our bereaved community, but also how children grieve and what support they need. Because I found there was a lot of misinterpretation of how Jessica was, and maybe how I was, and how we were as a family. And at the time, I wasn't really probably strong enough to voice how I felt about that, and to voice what I felt I needed and what I felt Jessica may need. And so Harry's Rainbow was created not only to raise awareness and provide a community for bereaved children and their families, but also to provide some key services to ensure we can aim for a brighter future for bereaved children.
It's amazing. It's amazing the work you've done. So tell me a bit about what advice you give to someone when they first make contact with Harry's Rainbow, what the process is, and really what support Harry's Rainbow is able to offer someone who's in that situation?
Well, as I'm sure you probably know yourself, obviously you'll have your experience of when you first contacted us at Harry's Rainbow, and over the years that has changed and been moulded, and we've looked at everybody's experiences along the way, and so that has changed over the years, because I never feel that one way is the only way, and I always want to make sure we're doing the best we possibly can. We have very limited resources, but I still like to review and look at how we're doing things and how we can improve. So the experience that we hope that we provide to people now is that they can register to access our service online. We're a service that supports children bereaved of a parent or sibling in Milton Keynes and the surrounding areas. And typically a parent or a carer will be the ones that refer themselves into our service. And our family liaison officers will respond to the online inquiry and reach out to the person that's registered and have a conversation with them. And at that point, often explain to them what services we do provide. So it goes from resources and books and a memory box to each child, to then the offer of the variety of services we provide, which is the groups, different types of groups. We cater up to age 25 years old. We have a rainbow retreat in Canberra Sands, and we provide chips and activities throughout the year as well to further facilitate contact. And we also do go that one step further for those that need additional support. We can provide therapeutic mentoring through another organisation, and or counselling and art therapy if needed as well. So there's quite a variety of services, and as I'm sure you'll agree, Claire, there is not a one size fits all, and there is not one route, one path. I don't believe that we go through a series of emotions in a particular order. It's not a linear process. I'm very, very passionate about getting that across. It's a very unique experience, and most people's experiences will hugely vary. We have to consider that for children too, but at least if we create a community of people together, it can certainly decrease isolation and loneliness, and eventually increase people's coping strategies, positive coping strategies, ways in which people can support and help themselves, but also learned experience and shared experience when people meet each other who are experiencing similar situations.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I completely agree. Everything that I do in my work now is all about the individual and how unique they are, because everybody's experience is very different. So if I talk about, I first contacted Harry's Rainbow in 2016, and it was quite soon after my husband had passed away. So he suffered a cardiac arrest. So it was sudden and unexpected. And at the time, I had twins who had not long turned 5, and my eldest, he turned 9, literally within 2 weeks of my husband passing away. And I can remember as a mother that overwhelming sense of wanting to protect them and wanting to get them the help they needed, and finding that nobody could really give me an answer or support me. I mean, on the night that my husband passed away, I was literally asking everybody, how am I going to tell my children? What do I do with them? And the best I got was a police officer returned to the house with a leaflet and said to me, that might help you. And then they went away, because you kind of fall between the cracks of services. And this is one of the things that really concerns me about how many people get left completely isolated. I was in a village community, and I had people around me who rallied around, supported me and the children, and got that assistance, but not everybody is as lucky as that. So I found myself just phoning around, like trying to access some kind of resources, and I was met with answer machines. If at all I could find someone that could help, but came across Harry's Rainbow, and I think for me it was, I think I've said to you since, it was like a huge sigh of relief to find somebody who would pick up the phone and go, I've got you.
Yeah, it's and that's what we want to provide with Harry's Rainbow, because my experience obviously different to yours, but we both were mums that needed to do something for their children. We weren't finding the magic pill, and we both know full well there isn't one. And I
Yeah.
don't, and I don't, you know, give anyone that false scenario that there is a magic pill. But what we will do is we'll, as much as we can, hold those that we're supporting the best way we can
Yeah.
through the services that we provide. And that was my experience, is that there was nothing, and actually I'd tell friends and they were like, what, you must be joking, there's got to be something. I'm like, there's nothing, I don't understand, you know. But not everyone has that, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but not everyone has the tools themselves or the capability themselves, because they're so crippled by what's happened to them, to search and hunt
Yeah.
for what's available, because we shouldn't have to do that, quite frankly. And so Harry's Rainbow worked to really hard, and we still need to do lots more work to be available, even if people in our community don't feel like they need what we do yet. It sounds awful saying yet. I've met a lot of people who along my journey have known what I've done with Harry's Rainbow, and then tragically have needed the support of Harry's Rainbow.
Yeah.
But I would rather everybody know we exist, so that they can pass our information on to people. And for example, your experience could have been so much different had someone who came to see you in those really early hours and days had said to you, Claire, this is available, contact them and reach out. And that's the community I want to create in Milton Keynes and the surrounding areas, that someone will know someone that knows our organisation exists, and even anyone that's not in Milton Keynes and know of the organisations in their areas, because there are a few different organisations very similar to Harry's Rainbow across the country, where people always know where they can go to. And raising that awareness of grief and bereavement, and the fact that we do need to talk about it, accepting it's a conversation we need to have, that will hopefully increase people's awareness of the types of services that are available, so that when families find themselves in either of our situations, there's somewhere being told to you that you can go.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, it's absolutely critical for me in all ways, is that I needed to have that hope, which is, you know, why my business is called Happya, which is why my book's called Blooming Happya, because, you know, it's so fundamental to me that people understand, whatever their experience, and it doesn't have to be similar to this one, whatever their experience, that there's hope, and that you can achieve more, that you can still live happier in an existence that gives you that sense of well-being. And it's also about having that awareness and getting that message out there, that even if it's not part of your experience, that you haven't experienced that bereavement yourself directly, it's so that you know how to interact and communicate with others in your community. I mean, I know I've unfortunately had to contact you since I've first met you, with other instances where I've been made aware where families have been bereaved, and you've helped get some resources together for them as well, so that we can reach out. Because in those early hours and days and weeks and months, you can really find yourself paralyzed. I was talking to someone at the weekend, actually, who had experienced the loss of her husband, and we were having a conversation, and she was asking me, how it had played out for me. And I said, well, in those early months, it was very much, it's like either talking underwater or wearing a motorcycle helmet, that you don't consume or absorb the world. Information that you're given, you can't take on board. I can remember in those early weeks being given, and especially with all the legal side and all of that different stuff, people would give you forms of technical information. I wasn't actually capable of reading those words. I could look at them, but they meant nothing to me because my head wouldn't function. And it's now I've trained in psychology that I understand how the brain works and how it shuts down. And it's really important that people feel held by that.
Yeah.
I think the other thing really to cover off, and it was when my children first came to like a group meeting at Harry's Rainbow and seeing how they enjoyed it. And I think it's really important here to say about how all children respond differently. So I've got twins, so they're the same age, so it's not even an age difference thing.
Mm.
Both of them, their grief journey and their approach of it has been completely different, and their needs were very, very different at that time. But all three children, by being at Harry's Rainbow in the early days, what they all came out with consistently is that they felt normal. They felt like they belonged and understood.
Yeah.
And as much as there was that community, and, you know, my children had some phenomenal friends that supported them and were with them and wanted to help them, there was still, people don't know what to say, and they don't know how to behave, and they don't know how to interact with you necessarily. But
Yeah.
other children who have experienced it, other parents just know, and it's having that knowing between you so you can get that connection of looking at someone else who has been through that experience. You don't need to use words, you feel being part of that community. And
Yeah.
that was really important in those early days because it gives you a sense of safety. It calms your nervous system. It makes you feel as though you're safe and you're okay,
Yeah,
which,
and there's no guilt feelings. So not everyone
yeah,
feels guilty, absolutely not, and not all children do either. But some people, how grief can play out is that I mean, you were saying about feeling like you're underwater. I think when I look back now, I didn't maybe feel it at the time, but when I look back now, all I see is a completely numb person in me. That's what I visualize. It's a numbness. It's you know, but what, you know, if we feel like we're, or appear to be, getting on with our lives and doing things, we can feel guilty for that. And but when you're in
yeah,
an environment where it's accepted, you can laugh, you can
yeah.
cry, you can laugh, and you can have fun, and the children can have fun, and we give them permission to do that. And sometimes when you're doing that in an environment where everyone does get it and everyone does understand, it just makes it, I feel, a nicer, not nice, that's probably the wrong word, but a better experience for our families and children.
It feels like you can breathe because coming into a group, and bringing the children, it was, for me, it was a place I could take them and a place I knew I was going to be okay. So if one of the children got really upset, there would be others there to support them. If I got upset, there would be, and there would be an understanding, and that's okay, and we all hold each
Yeah.
other together kind of thing. It's that's that's part of the experience, that's part of what you do. So it's even getting out the door, because for some people it will be really isolating, and that becomes fearful, and it all becomes too much, and then they withdraw a lot, and then
Yeah.
they're not accessing. And that's where, you know, it gets really difficult to bring someone back if nobody is aware of what's going on for them. So that's really, really important. I think the other thing I really want to celebrate, I guess, and acknowledge is it's not just that side of things, it's also everything else that Harry's Rainbow brings. So I can remember we did a summer fun day where the children, we all went down to Caldecott Lakes. My children were paddleboarding and canoeing, and there is a phenomenal picture where one of my kids is running off the end of their paddleboard and jumping into the lake with his arms outstretched, a full sense of freedom. And that's what Harry's rainbow gave to him on that day, that he could let go, that he felt safe enough that he could just enjoy himself. But it was also, again, going along to an activity where I knew there were other people around me who were going to help me keep my children safe, because when you've experienced a trauma like that, you lose your sense of safety, don't you? So, and, for me, but even if you are more, even if people have experienced terminal illness and they've had some understanding, it's still that day that happens. Your world still falls apart on a day. So when you've had something and that shock happens, something that you think shouldn't happen to you, you never know when the next disaster is coming, and you're on kind of a hyper alert. So yeah, being in a space where you know that other people are aware, but you feel like that and you're okay, and to take your hand physically or metaphorically and to be there and sit there and just have those conversations is brilliant. And one of the other things we benefited from as a family is that we went to the Harry's Rainbow holiday home in Camber Sands, and we had a fantastic time. And as a lone parent with three children, being supportive and knowing that I was going to this place that was all set up, that it was safe, that I had someone I could ask, that there were facilities around and stuff, taking the children and doing that was just amazing. And I guess also as a family, and the children felt they were special, that they had been given this holiday and to be able to go on it. And it just makes all of the difference, all of those different things.
I mean, the services have been created through experiences that initially as a family I went through with my family, and that breakaway, that all came from friends of ours sent us away, and I understood how important that was. So as soon as we were able to, as a charity that was fairly early on in our charity journey, it was really important to me to find something that we could send our families to. And it's still so popular now. And we've just, we had some funding from one of our amazing trustees who fundraised for us, and we've just put decking on it now. So we've got decking at the side of the caravan, and a ramp as well for people with buggies, or disabled people, or people that aren't as able-bodied can access the caravan even better now. But the services and the experiences, are created through experience, but also it was intentional, the trip to Caldicot, because I knew as a mum, after my son dying, that I didn't want to have any risk whatsoever to Jessica. But I also knew that our children need to take risks. Yeah. And so if I could bring everyone into an environment where you as a parent, it's going to be scary at times, watching our children in the water, watching our children do these amazing activities, but the experiences that the children would get from it would be probably long lasting memories, but also them enabling safe risk taking, positive risk taking. So that was actually quite intentional, that trip to Caldicot, to be able to give parents and carers and children access and ability to do activities that might otherwise be really difficult and scary for a parent, a widow, or a parent of a child who's died, to want their children to undertake and do. So I think it was quite successful in that respect.
Yeah, and I think seeing each of the children do the different things. I mean, I think mine started the running off the paddleboard and jumping into the middle of the lake, and kind of a number of them followed, but everyone was kept safe. So accommodated. Those that weren't up for doing that were still able to be supported in doing other
Yeah.
activities that still made them feel that sense of safety. And mine still speak so fondly of that time and their time in Canberra Sands. And I think I shared with you when I put together the photographs of all the different occasions in which Harry's Rainbow has supported us. I showed them to my daughter and she burst into tears. And I was like, oh no, it wasn't meant to make you cry. And she went, I'm crying
Yeah.
through happiness because I have so many amazing memories of the things that we did with them. And it was more it was all about a sense of joy that she had.
Yeah.
But something else that I've never shared with you, I haven't really thought about it either, but it just
Okay.
came up when you were talking and about the holiday to Canberra Sands. Actually, it was in that holiday home that I made the decision that I would go back to university and study psychology.
Oh
So
wow.
I
Oh,
had,
that'll do something.
yeah, I had the conversation with the university and I had been sent an unconditional offer and I'd been sent all of the paperwork and it had arrived just before I left for Canberra Sands. And I took it with me on the holiday and we were there a couple of days and I got up the next day and I was like, I'm putting this in the post. So we actually caught the bus into the town centre and went and posted it at the post office for me to set out on my journey to go back to university and study psychology. So
Wow. I mean, I hear these stories now, and I sit working flat out, day in, day out for years and years and years. And when you hear the impact, I want to Harry's Rainbow to give families long lasting impact. And when I hear, um, you know, from you and you're telling me these things, it really is quite overwhelming, and it really makes me feel quite emotional because I know it's working. I know it's
yeah,
working. I'm not saying everyone needs to take my word for it, but this is absolute evidence that what we do helps people. And obviously going to Camber Sands gave you some space to think and breathe and see
yeah.
if it was really something you really wanted to do. And if that helps you on your journey that's led to your amazing book, then that's incredible.
It's all part of the journey, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
when you think about Harry's Rainbow, therefore, is a part of everybody's journey who works with me, and I help them to move beyond that state and feeling of sense of survival to living a happier life. If Harry's Rainbow hadn't have been a part of that journey, then we don't know how that would have all transpired. But yeah, I think having that space and feeling that sense of control and safety and enjoyment of being in that environment and seeing the kids thrive at the beach and all of that obviously enabled me to feel safe enough to put that application in the post, no matter how bonkers everyone thought I was, that I was going back to university to start all over again when I already had quite a lot on my plate.
Yeah. And now you use your time to support and help other people through not just bereavement, probably a lot more of, a much wider scope. I say not just bereavement, but I imagine bereavement might be a minimal number of those clients that you support. It might be more around those that have, do correct me if I'm wrong, sort of suffered traumatic events. And I've been reading your book. I've not got to the end yet, but you also talk about traumatic events not necessarily being what you might typically think a traumatic event
Yeah,
is. A traumatic event that can happen to someone, an individual who is unique, could be something that other people may not think is a traumatic event. So you must
yeah,
have quite a scope of people that you are supporting, and therefore the book is going to, from the book launch that we can talk about obviously in a minute, is going to really go on to helping a lot of people regardless of the scope of perhaps
yeah.
their mental wellness, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how often you hear this, but quite often in these situations, there's kind of like a trauma comparison. Oh, well, my story, your story sounds worse than mine. I had 3 children, you had 2 children, or you had 6 children, or you didn't have children, or, you were, it wasn't unexpected. You'd had some time, or, there is no, well, that was worse and that was better. It's all trauma. And that's one of the key things that I try to get through to people is it's an event. If an event significantly impacts on your physical and psychological well-being, that's trauma. We don't need to categorize it into whether it's newsworthy or not. It's about the fact that it's had a detrimental impact on your well-being, and you have a right to say, I've been impacted, and to get the help and support you need. And that's something that I am really keen to get that message across, so that, because I feel there's so many people who are stuck in a survival mode, who get lost through events that have taken place, and they don't feel worthy or good enough to actually reach out and get that support, which is why it's also important that the wider community has an awareness so that they can signpost as well
Yeah.
to get them
And
help.
who would you say, because I feel like this book is, your book's going to be really helpful to people that may not even think that it's designed for them.
Yeah.
I'm certainly recognizing a lot of things through reading the book. I definitely understand that survival mode, and you may not even realize you're in survival mode. So I'm thinking about the people that don't think to get themselves a book because they're perhaps in a different place and they're not even, thinking that it's not even on their radar to feel like they need it. So
Yeah. So it's interesting actually, because it was through my husband passing away that I actually went and got help that I needed, um, for myself. But what I would say was really important, and what it uncovered is I needed to have got help many years before through other things that had happened in my life. But because I ticked certain boxes, what did I have to complain about? I had a good job. I had a nice house. I had an amazing husband. I had 3 beautiful children. What did I really need to complain about? But inside, because of the experience of other trauma, I was crushing my capability really, and not living that happier life because I didn't feel good enough or worthy enough and all of those things. And that's very much where I come from, that it's when you have that sense of feeling lost or overwhelmed, or you just generally have a sense of there must be something more to life, and that you have your own presence in the world that you can explore and really flourish. And so the book is actually aimed at everyone, because there is there's not a single person on this planet who hasn't experienced some form of trauma.
mm. And the
And
book can help them recognize that, and I guess through want of slightly different explanation, in Blooming Happier is living your best life, like you just said. It's about being given the tools for you to live the bestest life that you can,
yeah,
which, yeah, it's amazing. And I agree. I think this book is going to be, I've got the book, and I've encouraged already, once I've finished it, my staff to read it as well. And someone's already got, I'm next, because, and I'll do that and share about it. And hopefully, we'll have some, you've already sold lots and lots, #1 Amazon bestseller, which is amazing. But obviously we want lots of people to be aware of the book. And we hope that the book launch that you're organising is going to help more people be aware of it. And actually, I'm thinking that some of those people that come on the day who will receive a book will read it, and that they will be starting on their journey towards their best life without maybe even knowing that they needed the book in the first place.
yeah, I think it's been written so that there's something in there, no matter where your starting point is, whether you're recovering from a traumatic incident that has happened, or whether you are just looking to up level and take your life to another stage. process that it goes through in that book suits both, and that's how it's been put together and written. So let's cover off the book launch event. So obviously, I think, the story that I've told explains why I chose Harry's Rainbow that I wanted to support as part of my book launch, that it really brings together the journey that I had set out on and the whole principle and philosophy under which my whole business is written. So we're going to be at Sultan's Restaurant in the Theatre District in Milton Keynes on the 29th of February from 12 o'clock. And I've organised we will get welcome drinks and some fabulous canapes where they're going to be showcasing their entire menu to us of what they can provide. You'll also get a goodie bag, which is kind of focused on, there might be one there, focused on your well-being, just a few treats in there, and there will be a signed copy of the book as well. It's really an opportunity for everyone to connect, understand a bit more about what Harry's Rainbow does, ask questions about the book, but connect with other people from the area. We actually have people coming from across the country. I think the furthest I know at the moment is from Scotland. We've got someone coming down to attend the event. We will have a photographer there as well to take a record of the event and what we're enjoying. So it's £25 for a ticket. And then we're also, I've got a raffle going. So lots of raffle prizes are being donated and are coming in, and tickets are £5 for the raffle. And we've got things like, I've got afternoon tea for 2, I've got social media, one-to-one support, Instagram reviews, I've got some beauty products, we've got chocolates, we've got Prosecco, we've got we need chocolates, we've got some books that are being donated and different services that are being offered that are all going to be part of the raffle. So even if people can't join us in person, if you want to be a part of the event and purchase some raffle tickets, then the links for ticket to the event and raffle tickets are all on the webpage, which is happiercoach.com/event, and I will drop it in the comments for hosting this interview. So
we've got some amazing guests as well. We've got the Mayoress of Milton Keynes coming along, and she's really excited to be coming along, representing Milton Keynes, coming to our event, which is it's a unique event, and it's a blend of what you've done and obviously supporting Harry's Rainbow. So it's a blend of our partnership, which is amazing. But £25 for a ticket is an absolute bargain, because not only do people get the amazing book that you've written, but they get some well-being bits and pieces in there as well.
Yes, lots of exciting stuff, and you get your lunch as well.
Yeah.
Get some food and drink.
Prosecco, added bonus. I'm so excited.
It's promising to be a really good event. We've got some great people who are coming along and supporting us, so very much looking forward to it, and hitting the target for raising some much need funds for Harry's Rainbow. Very excited.
Yeah. I mean, you can't beat it. Going to an event, a really fun event, bargain price, food, drink, goodie bag, amazing book that's going to help you towards your better life. But also the best thing is that it's all going to be supporting bereaved children. All the profits for the event is going to be supporting bereaved children. I think it's just as wrapped up as a whole amazing event.
It's fantastic, and we've had some great feedback and lots of people really excited about attending it. So we would love to see as many of you there as can make it. And if you've got any questions, then either reach out to myself or Odette, and I'm sure we can get you sorted.
Absolutely.
Okay. So thank you, Odette, for joining me today, and we will catch up again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. See you soon. Take care.
If you've enjoyed this episode, ensure you hit subscribe, head on over to my website happiercoach.com, sign up for the weekly newsletter, and let me support you in living a happier life. I'm your host, Claire Deacon. Thank you for listening. Have a fabulous day.